What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for coming in. Today we are going to be debunking many of the myths surrounding real estate and answering your questions about the process that you still have not gotten answers to. So we put out an ask for what are some questions that you don't understand about real estate. And we are going to be debunking and answering those questions in depth today. So stick around, you are not going to want to miss this. By the way, if you are enjoying and are watching our content, I would love it if you would subscribe and like this channel, like the video. Like the channel? Well, definitely do like the channel, but also like the video too. What that does is that helps the algorithm show that what we're producing is being enjoyed by the public and gets us in front of more people, and so that we can help even more people. So again, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. So we asked our community for this video, what are some things that you just don't understand about real estate? And we're gonna break down many of those questions that we got. We did get some good ones. So question number one, what the heck is earnest money? Okay, this is a great question because it's one of the things that happens early on in the process, and it is important to be prepared for it so that you're ready. So earnest money is basically a good faith deposit. Think of it as a down payment to your down payment. It shows the seller that you're serious, and it puts skin in the game for the buyer. Now, it does go towards your down payment. It goes towards your total cash to close. Your cash to close being your down payment plus whatever closing costs you have to pay to complete the transaction. Those two amounts are your total cash to close. And that earnest money deposit does go towards that. So you'll see that credit on your settlement statement at the end when you're about to close. Now, if you walk away for whatever reason, you might lose it depending on where you are in the process. If everything goes as planned, again, you keep it and it goes towards your down payment. Question number two, what is the difference between an appraisal inspection and a general inspection? This is also a great question. So an appraisal is for the bank. That's to make sure that the home is worth whatever it is that you're paying, that you're taking a loan out for. A general inspection is for you. Think of that as that's where the actual like plumber type person comes out, and you know, some people may think like this is where their dad comes into play. Please do not have your dad be a part of the process. They can definitely give experiences and shed light, but I would strongly advise you from having your dad at the inspection, because it's not necessarily that they're not knowledgeable. It's more about the emotional component of having your dad there and giving advice that then may be weighted more heavily versus an inspector that sees these types of things day in and day out. All right, question number three. Do I wait to buy a home until I've saved 20%? Okay, so great question. The short answer is it depends. What is the reason why people want to wait till 20%? Because when you have a mortgage that is only 80% of the purchase price, meaning you have 20% of the down payment, you don't have to pay what is called PMI, or private mortgage insurance. And this ranges anywhere from 75 to 125 bucks depending on the loan size. Every situation is going to be different, which is why I say, hey, I am not a financial advisor. You have to feel comfortable with whatever the monthly payment is going forward. That being said, the rate at which homes are not only appreciating, but then the amount that then you can build equity, the math tends to favor acquiring the asset first and then putting more money towards the principal once you've actually secured the property. Plus then too, any additional interest that you are paying is tax deductible. And so if you are itemizing your taxes, that can be a great opportunity for you to have that affect the net cost, if you will. Oftentimes writing off the mortgage insurance is a very overlooked part of the actual net cost of home ownership. Is now a bad time to buy? While I respect the question, I don't actually have enough information to answer it, in the same way that I wouldn't have enough information to answer if you asked me if this was a good time to buy. Every situation is going to be different, which is why I say it's important for you to work with an advisor who can look at your situation and say, okay, based on this, that, and the other thing, yes, this is absolutely a good time to buy. It also depends on what your goals are, right? Where do you want to be for the next 5 to 7 years? What type of lifestyle do you want to live? What is your cash flow? Things are so expensive right now. And so if there is a way to do it, yes, absolutely buy a home. That being said, still be cognizant though of the total cost of everything and have a GOK fund, God only knows fund. You don't want to be so broke that you can't even pay attention. All right, what happens if the appraisal comes in low? All right, I actually like this question because it doesn't get asked a whole lot. Going back to my previous question, the appraisal is for the bank. That's where the bank sends someone out to tell us how much this house is actually worth, and does that house support the value to be collateral for the loan. If that comes in low, if you're buying a house for $500,000 and the appraiser says that it is only worth $490,000, so you have a $10,000 delta, $10,000 gap, it goes back to the negotiating table. The seller may drop the sales price $10K. You may bring $10,000 to the closing table to then cover that gap. There might be a third option where you meet somewhere in the middle. It really is going to depend on the landscape of how the house was acquired, right? Did you buy it in multiples, or did you say that you're going to have an appraisal gap in the contract? Or was the house sitting on the market for 3-4 weeks and you were the only offer on the table? That's where it's like there's no one hard and fast rule. It really just depends on the personal situation. Can I back out of a purchase after I make an offer? You're gonna hate me for saying this, but again, it depends. So it depends on how the contract is written and where you are in any contingencies that are put in place. There's two main situations in which you can back out for any reason, like literally any reason. You don't have to even give a reason to the other side. Those two reasons are inspection contingencies and any CIC or community interest deadlines. Think of that as if you're buying a townhome or a condo and the contingency to review the documents. So inspection contingency, if you are still during that contingency, however long you've set in the purchase agreement, you can back out and you will receive your full earnest money, assuming that's what the contract states. But typically, it is expected that you will receive your full earnest money back unless you've made earnest money non-refundable, which is another tool in our tool belt that we've utilized. The same process is also for those community interest contingencies where you have the full, usually 10 days in the state of Minnesota. Again, I'm in Minnesota, so it might be different across other states, but in the state of Minnesota, you can receive your full earnest money back if you are still within those two contingencies and you send in a cancellation. You don't even need the other side to sign. You can literally draft up a cancellation, have the buyer sign it, send it off, and then once that's been received, once that has even been sent, then the purchase agreement is canceled and the seller has to send you the earnest money back. Can I buy a house if I'm self-employed? Yeah, absolutely. So there are loan options for those that don't have necessarily a standard W-2 and are more non-traditional in terms of their tax structures. A loan officer, I am not, but we've seen things such as bank statement loans, or maybe even going the traditional route, but then you have 2 years of 1099s, right? Showing that you've been in the business for 2 years and have the substantial tax documents to back that up. There's so many different options, which is why it's great to work with a loan officer that you know, like, and trust. I would not just go to Rocket Mortgage because they have an online portal and you're gonna probably meet somebody that isn't necessarily as knowledgeable about the process, and you're gonna wanna have more of a hands-on experience. Can I sell my home and buy a new one at the same time? Yeah, oh, absolutely. And this is kind of a niche that I have been working with recently, is first-time sellers. You know, a lot of people work with first-time buyers, but I've been starting to work more with first-time sellers, people that have bought their first house, that are selling their first house, and that are going into their move-up house, whatever that looks like for them. And there's 3 different pathways that you can do that. You can buy before you sell before you buy, or write your purchase agreement contingent on the sale of your previous house. Now, most people hear those 3 options and they go, oh, well, option number 3 is right for me. That's the one that I feel like I can use the proceeds from this and then put it towards the purchase. And while you may be correct, it actually is the most expensive way to go about the process. Why? Because you are hoping and praying that your sale will go through. And so if it sits for however long, you might be then doing price reduction after price reduction. You maybe will pay a premium on the buy side because you are asking the sellers of what you are buying to hitch their wagon to you, and then you then have to give them an additional incentive price-wise in order for that to be worth it for them. So while most people think option number 3 is best for them, we often, after going through the different options, we end up going with option either 1 or 2 with the client, depending on what is right for them. Can I sell my house without a realtor? Yeah, absolutely. You absolutely can sell your house without a realtor. In the same way that you can do your taxes without a CPA, or you can represent yourself in court. You are definitely leaving money on the table by doing that. You are definitely leaving and opening yourself up to risk by doing that. But yeah, absolutely. I only want to work with people. This is a whole thing when people say, like, why should I work with you? And they're almost trying to bait me into an argument to prove my worth as a real estate professional. I'm like, I am not interested in doing that. I believe that I am one of the best people to actually do this job. That being said, if you are trying to debate whether or not my profession as a whole is even worthy of being considered an actual career, you're not the person for me. And I wish you all the best, and oftentimes it doesn't end up working out well for them. I wish them well, but you do see that it doesn't actually end up well for them. How do showings work when I am still living in the home? Okay, I actually really like this question because it's playing out the full scenario of what it's like to sell your home. Please do not be like this one gentleman that was present for every single showing because he wanted to sell the house. I'm not making this up. He then literally did a walkthrough of every single part of the house and showed us, this is where we had Thanksgiving dinner. And this, while great, I can understand there's an emotional element to that. What does that do to the buyer? It makes them feel like they are literally in somebody else's house. You want to have a neutral and inviting canvas for the buyer to imagine their life in your home. So that's why we do ask that folks leave however possible, if possible. And we have showings that they put a request in on this app called Showing Time, and you can either approve or deny that showing time if it doesn't work for you. We do try to accommodate showings as much as possible, but you will get the notification say, okay, we have a showing request for 10 a.m. on Saturday, and then you say yes or no, and then we politely ask you that you remove yourself from the premises for that time. Thank you, we love you. Do I have to accept the highest offer? No, you definitely do not have to accept the highest offer. And sometimes that is actually the best course of action. Not always is the highest net going to be worth the potential risk that may come with that offer. Like, let's say you get a offer for $100,000 over asking price and it has a mortgage financing contingency. You're not gonna get that unless the buyer is bringing extra cash to the table. Why? The appraisal. The bank is gonna send somebody out there and say, okay, is this house actually worth $100,000 over ask? And when the bank says no, then you're like, okay, well then it goes back to the negotiating table. And then you're right back to square one, when in fact you should have accepted another offer that was $10,000, $15,000 over asking, and then maybe has a appraisal gap guarantee associated with that. So you know for sure that you are going to close at that price. But that's where working with a real estate advisor will help give you the pros and cons of any and all offers that come in, and will help guide you in the right direction to make the decision that is best for you. Do I have to pay taxes when I sell my house? Okay, this is actually another great question. I love these questions. Good job, you guys. Selling a house is a taxable event. If you make money on the sale, whatever the difference is, what you bought it at and what you sold it at, i.e. the profit, that is taxable income. But before you freak out, you should know that there is an exemption for those capital gains taxes for the first $250,000 that you as a solo person receive. So the profit up to $250,000 is tax-free. And then if you're married, that then doubles to $500,000. So a married couple can make $500,000 worth of profit and not pay any taxes on that. Now, we are seeing in some areas of the country, particularly on the coast and places that have experienced large amounts of appreciation, that they are past that threshold. But for the most part, in the state of Minnesota, unless you have held the house forever, you bought it when it was just, when you bought the house for a bag of peanuts and now you're selling it for $3 million, then yeah, you're gonna pay some taxes on that. Why is Zillow saying my home is worth X, but my agent says Y? That's because Zillow uses an algorithm. It doesn't actually know the condition of the house. It doesn't know the comps that it may be around. It's all using algorithmic data. And while it can be a useful tool to use as a general barometer of price, I would definitely not use it as either an equity update of, okay, this is how much money I have in the bank in equity for this house or a sales price. Definitely consult with your agent in terms of finding out what is going to be the best sales price for you to make the most amount of money. All right, well, that was the first episode of Ask a Realtor. This was actually very fun, very informative, and I hope you guys were able to learn something and take away a golden nugget or two. We definitely are going to do this again, so please keep sending in your questions and I will answer them soon. If you did get something out of this, please be sure to like and subscribe. Again, we are building a community here, and every single action and activity that we get, whether that's a like, a comment, or a subscribe, does help us get in front of even more people and help out even more folks. If you're also wanting to learn more, be sure to take a look at another video right here. Thanks so much. Bye.